Welcome to Archelos Zombie Masters. As far as our opening hand goes, we've got Remand and Impulse. And we've got 5 lands. So, I mean, that is a conditional counterspell. We got Remand. We do have a way to kind of tap down Archelos. We've got card advantage with Impulse. Yeah, I think we keep on this one. We are in a position to where we can cash in like a Remand pretty quick, and I think I kind of like that. So let's go and lead off with Drowned Catacomb. That way we have Remand online. Yeah, I like that. Anything else? Let's pass the turn over to our opponent. But yes, welcome to Archelos Zombie Masters. Some Soul Tie shenanigans, I think, if you want to put it like that. We'll kind of get in more into what the deck's doing here in just a second. Let's go and cover our commanders. So we're playing Archelos, Lagoon Mystic. As long as Archelos is tapped, other permanents enter the battlefield tapped. Then as long as Archelos is untapped, you got it, buddy. Opponent's going to go for Thoughtseize. As long as Archelos is untapped, other permanents enter the battlefield untapped. So we're playing against Nicol Bolas, the Ravager. Let's go and get this one popped out so we can cover the backside. And they do end up taking that Remand. So that is a little bit of a bummer. That was definitely a conditional piece for us that was going to make a pretty big difference. So let's go and lead off with Forest. Yeah, I kind of like that. And then anything else, pass it back over there. Playing against Nicol Bolas. Whenever Nicol Bolas enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. Then for a 7-mana activation, exile Nicol Bolas, return to the battlefield transformed as Nicol Bolas the Arisen. And that is going to be +2. And actually, yeah, burning a Remand on Mana Crypt doesn't sound that fun. Nicol Bolas the Arisen, +2, draw 2 cards, -3, 10 damage, target creature or planeswalker. An opponent's going to pop the land, destroy target land. I guess we just go Impulse on this one. If we're going to see a lot more land destruction, we'll see. Jace. Yeah, we'll take Jace. Let's go and grab Jace, and then put everything else in the bottom of the library in a random order. And that's going to be Aftershock on our land, which is a bummer, but at least we got some other ones. So it's going to be -4, put creature or planeswalker from a graveyard on the battlefield. Then -12, exile all but the bottom card of target player's library. And if you do build Nicol Bolas Super Friends, Ashiok is all you need to win. Pretty cool. All right, so we're looking at a Thought Scour, which we cannot activate. We did run into Grizzly Salvage, which we cannot go for just yet. Just so if we end up going for Coliseum, yeah, let's get that down. And then anything else past the turn, because that's going to allow us to go for Thought Scour. We can mill 2 cards. So this is a graveyard-based deck. We do have a lot of Delve stuff in here. And so getting a Thought Scour, getting a couple cards in the graveyard, and then drawing a card is something that we definitely want to capitalize on. So see what this is going to be. That's going to be Thief of Sanity. So let's go for a Thought Scour activation. We're going to mill 2 cards, then draw a card, see what we cash into, run into Field of the Dead. And we hit Thirst for Knowledge and a Forest into the graveyard. So that'll work out. We are running Life from the Loam here. And if we do run into any of our Delve spells, we can definitely get some pretty good stuff moving. So kick it back over to our turns. Ooh, we run into Mana Crypt, which is exactly what we wanted to see. So let's go Mana Crypt. That's going to be Jace the Mind Sculptor. Let's get Jace onto the battlefield. That's going to be 1-2. And let's go for the 0 ability, because we're going to have Thief of Sanity swing in combat damage to a player. Yeah. So once we get Jace on the battlefield, that does allow us to go for the 0 ability. So let's go for the... we could -1 if we wanted to. But we want to get some card advantage pretty quick. So let's put 2 cards back on top of our library. Field of the Dead. We are online for a Field of the Dead pretty quick. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So at this point, let's go ahead and discard. Let's put the Honorborn back on top. And then let's put Field of the Dead back on top. So that way we draw in the Field of the Dead. We can go for Grizzly Salvage next turn. That does allow us to get that Brainstorm effect and then anything else past the turn. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors. TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/JoltMTG, that's going to apply my affiliate link. That'll allow you to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. So if you use that, much obliged. Let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. If you're going to play Commander online. And let's give a quick shout out to Ink Gaming. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. But if you're keeping score at home, it is officially free time. And our opponent's going to skip past Jace and go for Thief of Sanity. So there we go. Look at the top 3 cards. And we're going to have that Gonti style effect of being able to cast it. So we'll see what they end up grabbing. One of the good things about this deck is that we are running a lot of weird stuff in here. You know, there is a lot of base Sultai control. So it's, they got Dreadbore. All right, so they got it. All right, so it's going to get rid of Jace the Mind Sculptor. Click OK. And with Honor Worn on top, I think we still might end up going for Archelos. I think I kind of like that. We can keep some stuff entering the battlefield taps. Let's go and choose Tails on this Mana Crypt trigger. Lost the flip. We are 0 for 1 on those. Ooh, and we run into Life from the Loam. Oh, and excuse me, I was trying to figure out where our Jace the Mind Sculptor action went, and that was just with Thief Insanity. So we know what's on top of our library. Maybe they grabbed Honor War, I completely forgot about setting up a Thief of Sanity line of play with Jace the Mind Sculptor, so that worked out really well. Let's make the land drop for the turn. That's going to be Swamp. Let's get Archelos onto the battlefield. I feel like that's going to be a good bet for us. We'll tap down Colosseum. Let's go Mana Crypt. And that'll be just enough for a Life from the Loam. So let's go Life from the Loam. Let's go Drowned Catacomb. Let's grab Field of the Dead. And let's grab Prismatic Vista. I think that'll work out. So let's go green off of Harbor and then one colorless. Bring those back to the hand, then anything else past the turn. So we are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we've got just enough to get Field of the Dead active. The only thing that we're really hoping for at this point right now, we've seen our opponent packing some heat over there. Aftershock on the land, Thoughtseize turn 1, and Dreadbore on Jace. So we know they have some good stuff in there. And one of the good things about Field of the Dead is it really gives you access to just building up a board state that is really hard to deal with. You know, you do want to get those zombies going pretty quickly, and a board wipe does hurt. But just having that repeated utility source of getting an extra zombie on the battlefield, that's some pretty good magic. And so they look at the top 3, and the rest do go into our graveyard. So with this Thief of Sanity line of play, we do know what they took with Thief of Sanity. It was that Honor Worn. So, and let's get the Exile Zone popped up. There we go. Just to kind of keep that in mind. They've got 2 cards off to the side. Okay, then anything else, well, yeah, we'll let them finish their turn. But yeah, you know, one of the good things about Thief of Sanity dumping stuff into the graveyard is that we still have, you know, empty the pits. I think, yeah, empty the pits. It's going to be a lot of zombies for us to get down to. And so that does kind of start to work out for us. So let's get the Mana Crypt trigger. We're going to choose Tails on this one. Lost the flip. And our opponent is a little stuck on lands, but hey, we'll take it. So let's not dredge Life from the Loam right now. Run into Worldly Tutor. So let's go for Survivor's Encampment. And let's go ahead and tap down Archelos. That way, if they do get any lands down, it's going to enter the battlefield tapped. Any of their creatures enter the battlefield tapped. And I kind of like that. So, yeah, let's do that now. So let's tap down Archelos. Yeah, I like this. So let's tap down Archelos, and let's tap down black for Grizzly Salvage, and that still gives us access to Worldly Tutor. Yeah, I like that. So let's go Grizzly Salvage. We'll grab Eternal Witness. And now at this point, we're setting ourselves up for a pretty good spot. With Eternal Witness, that turns on our entire graveyard. The only downside is we do have to wait on Eternal Witness. Well, no, excuse me, we don't have to wait. It's going to return it to our hand, and we can cast Eternal Witness right now. That will be double green. I think we want to set up a Pull from Tomorrow. I think that's going to be a really good bet for us. So let's go for Harbor. Let's get Mana Crypt going. Let's get Eternal Witness onto the battlefield. Let's go and bring Pull from Tomorrow back into our hand. I guess technically if we wanted to, we could go for Jace. But I really like having access to Pull from Tomorrow because if they're going to tap, you know, they are stuck down on mana right now. And so if they do tap out for Nicol Bolas, we can always just threaten our mana and leave our mana up with Pull from Tomorrow, and that will give us access to cashing out for a ton of card advantage, which we will certainly take. So we'll see if they end up running into a land for the turn. If not, then we'll see what else they can get going. So they do have 1 card exile with Thief of Sanity. We do know that Honor Worn was the last card that they did take from us. So the only downside is we are running counterspells in here. Not a ton of them. I mean, just enough to, you know, shift this into Sultai control. But at least with us having, you know, it's not just counterspell.deck, so maybe they're just grabbing some random stuff, but my goodness. They chunk Azuri's Predation into the graveyard and a negate too, so we'll see what that last card was. But definitely dealing with Thief of Sanity, that is something that we want to get rid of. All right, so it's going to be Go for the Throat, and let's see if that was our Go for the Throat. Yeah, that was. All right, so they're going to go for the Throat on Archelos. Unfortunately, that's going to get it on that one. It's not the end of the world. You know, with them being tapped down on mana, it is like we almost have Archelos on the battlefield to begin with anyway. So we'll see exactly what we end up going for. But since they don't have access to blue mana, I think what we'll end up trying to do is, well, now that they have Underground Sea down, I think what we'll end up trying to do is setting up a Pull from Tomorrow, so that will work out for us. So we are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's going to be 6 with Field of the Dead. So if we want to set up Prismatic Vista, I think that would work out for us. All right, so we won the Mana Crypt trigger. I'm not going to dredge Life from the Loam, and that's going to be Urborg. Okay, so let's get Field of the Dead. So if we put Field of the Dead on the battlefield, that's going to be pulled from tomorrow for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is not that bad. So we go Field of the Dead, enters the battlefield tapped, and then we go Prismatic Vista on Island, and that'll be enough to get the zombies going. And if they do end up tapping out for Nicol Bolas, they're going to have to tap down on blue mana. And at this point, with Life from the Loam, we're not really super worried about Nicol Bolas. Excuse me, we could have swung with Eternal Witness. So, yeah, sorry. We could have swung with Eternal Witness, but sometimes when you're trying to set up, something like Pull from Tomorrow or something on your opponent's turn, I kind of start yielding through the turn just to kind of allow myself to kind of think about that line of play. So opponent's going to go for Thief of Insanity swinging in. That's going to knock a couple more cards in the graveyard. If we can run into one of our Delve spells, we will definitely be in a really good spot. We'll see what else they dump in there. Okay, so we get a couple more lands going, and then let's see what they end up doing on their second main phase. They do know that we did bring Pull from Tomorrow back to the hand. And once they tap down on blue mana, we're definitely going to try to see if this sticks. At the very least, we can go for Pull from Tomorrow for 4, and that'll still leave up a Worldly Tutor, and we can kind of figure out exactly what we want to grab. We do have Snapcaster Mage in here, and so we can leave up that green mana. Yeah, let's do that. So let's go for Pull from Tomorrow. We're going to tap down Survivor Encampment, and we're going to leave up 1, 2. So Pull from Tomorrow for 4. Not the craziest thing we can be doing, but if we can dig a counterspell out of their hand, we'll take it. Okay, so now we're sitting pretty good. So let's go and discard a card. At this point, I think we're going to get rid of Urborg. We don't really want to help our opponent out. And we do have access to Worldly Tutor. And let's go and stick this Worldly Tutor right now. Because if we can get Snapcaster in our hand, that'll really help us out as far as having some pretty good late game stuff. Now, we do have Underrealm Lich. The only downside is with Underrealm Lich, if they've got spot removal, we haven't seen any counter spells just yet. So I'm feeling like they're sitting okay on spot removal. I feel like it's just better to have Snapcaster, because with Snapcaster, that keeps us open on Arcane Denial, Negate, Remand. So that kind of turns our entire graveyard online. So, and we do have access to Go for the Throat. So let's go and choose Tails on this one. And then we're not going to Dredge Life from the Loam. Draw into Snap. Of course, Snapcaster was on top. Let's go and lead off with Prismatic Vista, because that's going to be an extra zombie. Let's go and always yield to these zombie triggers. And we will swing in with Eternal Witness this go. I guess technically, instead of going for Snapcaster removal, and then actually we're not going to have enough blue mana, because we're only going to, well, actually we will have 4 mana, because that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'll be them tapping out, but they might have just enough. We'll see. Let's just go and crack Prismatic Vista. Let's go and grab ourselves a blue source. That's going to be another zombie. And I think at this point, we just go, if we end up going Stinkweed, Imp, that still gives us the line of play with Snapcaster getting rid of Thief of Sanity. I think I kind of like that. So let's do that. So let's get Stinkweed Imp onto the battlefield. That's going to stop Thief of Sanity, and also going to be that kind of pseudo Death Touch effect with Stinkweed Imp. And we'll see if they want to try to tap down for their counter magic on this one. So that's going to be mana drain with no blue mana. And we can Thassa's Intervention, which I think I kind of do like. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. So we at least need to tap down for 4. No, they can't tap down for 4. So let's do this. Let's go Thassa's Intervention. All right, so it's going to be Thassa's Intervention for 3, where they're going to have to pay 6, which they're not going to have enough for that. And so that should stop the mana drain, and that still gives us access to having Stinkweed on the battlefield, and it forces them to, either have Force of Will in their hand or something like that, or at least burn some sort of spot removal spell on Stinkweed. So let's go and go to our combat step. Let's go and swing it for 2 with Eternal Witness. That's going to knock our opponent down to 8. So we've got ourselves a mana crypt game. I'm digging this. All right, yeah, and that would have made a difference because they would have been at 6. So yeah, that was definitely a sequencing error on my part. But hey, sometimes that happens with delivering commentary and playing games. Let's see if they lose the mana crypt trigger. They won the flip. Okay, we are officially on mana crypt watch. And one of the good things about Brainstorm is if we just absolutely do not like what we saw, we can always end up dredging Life from the Loam to kind of dump those cards into the graveyard. Because if we can find some sort of payoff spell, even something like Exsanguinate, we are definitely getting into the Exsanguinate territory right now with them sitting at 8. So they are in kind of a weird spot too. You know, let's say they get Nicol Bolas onto the battlefield. That's going to be all of the color mana that they have access to. We do have a spot to stop Thief of Insanity. They do have 2 cards still left over here with Thief of Sanity, so we'll see what those are. But with us untapping with a bunch of mana, and at least having lethal representing for next turn, because that will, well, not technically lethal, that's going to be 8, that's going to be 7. We've still got some answers, so we'll see what they end up kind of rolling out for the turn. All right, so we got Thief of Sanity swinging in. Let's go and block with Stinkweed Imp. And now that it's declared a blocker, they will not get that that Thief trigger. So let's go and trade on that one. It's going to destroy that creature. Send that to the graveyard. I mean, I guess technically we might be looking at a board wipe if they went for that trade with Thief of Sanity and Stinkweed Imp. I doubt our opponent didn't miss the destroy combat trigger. And so I'm interested to see what they've got going on in the second main phase. If it's just Nicol Bolas. All right, opponent's going to go for Demonic Tutor. And that's instantly going to be a card in their hand, but they only have 3 mana. So let's see if they have any sort of payoff card for their second main phase. All right, that's going to be Soul Ring. And that's going to be Glen Alindra. So let's go ahead and go for, in response to that, let's go for Brainstorm. And I guess if we're looking at Snapcaster, something like Exsanguinate, and they don't have blue mana, I think we try to dredge as much as possible at this point. So let's dredge Stinkweed Imp. Let's go and dredge Life from the Loam. Oh, there we go. We hit Exsanguinate. All right, so click OK. We have nothing else that we can dredge, correct? All right, so let's go and dump Stinkweed Imp back into the graveyard. Let's dump Life from the Loam back into the graveyard. Excuse me, back on top. That's going to be Glen Alindra. And we should have just enough for Snapcaster. I think Exsanguinate. Let's see. Let's go and choose Tails on this one. All right, 1 the flip, which is definitely good for us. And then we run into Life from the Loam. We know Stinkweed Imp is on top. So let's drop in a Drowned Catacomb. That's going to be enough for a Field of the Dead trigger. Let's go and push in for 6. And yeah, with us hitting that Exsanguinate, that is perfect. So let's go and swing in for 6. At the very least, we're going to get in for 4, drop them down to 3. That's going to be a Persist trigger. And then we go Snapcaster Exsanguinate. And that should be enough. Let's go Exsanguinate. That's going to be double black. And I guess we go 4. I want to represent counter magic on this one, but either way, if they have it, they're going to use it. But we'll just end up going Exsanguinate for 3. There we go. All right, drop our opponent down to 0. We go to 13. Maybe I overthought that last Exsanguinate, but definitely a good game to our opponent. I know they were stuck on lands, but hey, you know, we did dodge a Thoughtseize. We got hit with an Aftershock, popping our land. We got hit with Jace with Dreadbore. And then we just kind of transitioned to more of a Sultai ramp, kind of close it out. It did help that Thief of Sanity was stealing cards and dumping cards in the graveyard. But you can see with that last Brainstorm, you know, instead of drawing those cards, we were able to dredge 8 cards in the graveyard. And that's what makes playing Sultai decks, or at least graveyard dredge style decks, so much fun, is that we're able to find an answer with Snapcaster Mage and Exsanguinate, dropping our opponent down to 0. I know there's a lot of times we play Nicol Bolas and it doesn't come out this way, but to get one over on Nicol Bolas, we'll take it. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.